A few years ago, $100 at the grocery store felt like a full cart. Today, it barely covers the basics. Rent is higher, insurance is higher, food is higher, and somehow your paycheck still feels exactly the same. But here's the scary part. Inflation doesn't destroy your money overnight. It slowly steals your purchasing power while most people don't even notice it happening. And if you leave your money sitting still, you could actually be getting poorer every single year without realizing it. Today, we're breaking down how inflation quietly destroys the middle class, why your savings account may be losing value, and what smart investors are doing right now to protect their future. Welcome back to the Dollar Pilot. Most Americans feel like they're working harder than ever, but falling further behind financially. And honestly, the numbers explain why. Over the last several years, inflation in the United States has dramatically increased the cost of living. Groceries, gas prices, rent, healthcare, car insurance, and even basic utilities have become significantly more expensive. The problem is that wages haven't kept up at the same pace for millions of people. Even workers earning decent salaries often feel financially stressed because inflation quietly reduces the real value of every dollar they earn. This is what many people misunderstand about inflation. Inflation doesn't mean your money disappears from your bank account. It means your money buys less over time. Think about it like this. If inflation averages around 3% to 4% per year, your purchasing power slowly shrinks. Something that cost $50 a few years ago may now cost $70 or more. Or, that means if your income doesn't rise faster than inflation, you're effectively taking a pay cut in real terms. And this is where the middle class gets squeezed the hardest. We are seeing Americans rely more heavily on credit cards just to maintain normal lifestyles. Household debt continues climbing while savings rates remain under pressure. Many families are spending more money on necessities and less money on investing, retirement planning, or building long-term wealth. What makes inflation even more dangerous is how invisible it feels at first. Most people notice higher gas prices. They notice rent increases, but they don't always notice the long-term effect inflation has on their savings account, retirement fund, or future financial freedom. If you keep large amounts of cash sitting in a low-interest savings account while inflation stays elevated, your money is slowly losing purchasing power every single year. For example, if inflation is running at 4% but your savings account only earns 1%, you are losing 3% in real value annually. That may not sound dramatic in 1 year, but over a decade, it becomes massive. This is why investors constantly talk about assets. Historically, assets like stocks, real estate, index funds, and certain commodities tend to outperform inflation over long periods of time. Wealthy individuals understand this. They don't just save money, they put their money into assets that have the potential to grow faster than inflation. That's one reason the stock market continues attracting investors despite economic uncertainty. Many people know that simply holding cash is no longer enough. Now, does that mean the stock market is risk-free? Absolutely not. Markets can crash, volatility can happen at any time. But historically, long-term investing through diversified index funds has been one of the strongest ways to protect purchasing power against inflation. This is why concepts like dollar cost averaging have become so popular among long-term investors. Instead of trying to perfectly time the market, investors consistently buy over time, regardless of short-term volatility. Some months prices are high, some months prices are lower. But over decades, disciplined investing has historically beaten inflation far better than holding cash alone. Another major issue driving inflation is government spending and monetary policy. During periods of economic crisis, governments and central banks often inject massive amounts of money into the economy to stimulate growth. While this can support short-term economic activity, it can also contribute to rising prices later on if too much money is chasing too few goods. At the same time, supply chain disruptions, housing shortages, labor shortages, and global energy instability have all added pressure to inflation in recent years. This is why Americans today feel financially exhausted even when unemployment numbers appear relatively strong on paper. The economy may technically be growing, but many people feel poorer because their purchasing power keeps declining. And psychologically, inflation creates stress because it affects everyday life. People delay buying homes. Families cut back on vacations. Young adults postpone retirement investing because they are focused on surviving monthly expenses. Financial anxiety grows because the future feels more expensive and less predictable. But here's the important part. Understanding inflation can help you make smarter financial decisions. You may not control the economy, but you can control how you respond to it. That could mean reducing unnecessary debt, increasing financial literacy, building emergency savings, learning about investing, improving your income skills, or focusing on long-term wealth building instead of short-term spending. One of the biggest mistakes people make during inflationary periods is panicking emotionally. They either stop investing completely or chase risky get-rich-quick schemes online, hoping to outpace inflation overnight. Historically, disciplined investors who stayed patient and focused on long-term financial planning performed far better than emotional investors reacting to every headline. The reality is that inflation has always existed in some form. The key is learning how to adapt instead of ignoring it. Because the people who understand how money works usually position themselves ahead of economic shifts, while everyone else slowly falls behind without understanding why. At the end of the day, inflation is more than an economic statistic. It directly impacts your lifestyle, your future, and your ability to build wealth. That's why financial education matters more now than ever before. The people who survive financially in the next decade won't necessarily be the ones earning the highest salaries. It will likely be the people who understand investing, budgeting, assets, and how to protect purchasing power over time. So stay informed, stay disciplined, and most importantly, stay focused on the long game. Because in today's economy, doing nothing with your money may actually be the riskiest move of all.